We're live!
Hey!
So, we have Harshit and Christine from Aftershoot with us live here today. Aftershoot is Aftershoot is a culling artificial intelligence software. So we're going to talk about all of that today. Do say hello in the comments. Say hi if you're watching. It's weird talking to nobody at the beginning, isn't it?
It always takes a minute. That's okay.
It does. It does. Let's see. It says going live soon on the group, but hopefully it's all good. There we got one person viewing now. Say hello.
Hey, one person, whoever you are.
Let us know who you are. So yes, we've got Aftershoot here. We're going to be talking about culling AI, which is like a godsend at the moment because we know that everyone, including ourselves, has like a million photos this summer to cull, and it's literally the worst thing trying to organize yourself and go through them, and it's kind of soul destroying, and you get through a quarter and you're like, how have I spent a whole day and I've only gone through a quarter of my photos? Some people are absolute beasts with culling and they can get through it really quickly, and some people are like us and they shoot 8,000 photos and it takes a week to get through them all.
Yeah, I think we have about 10 weddings lined up right now for culling.
Yeah. Yeah, Christine is a photographer too. You get it. Exactly. So yeah, basically we in the Kick-Ass Collective membership, we were doing one of these sort of group mastermind Zoom things, and a guy called Kevin said, because once someone said, "Oh, I'm having trouble with culling," and he said, "Have you heard of Aftershoot?" And we're like, "Oh, what's that?" And he said, "Well, it uses this algorithm, so it knows what photos are good and it knows which photos to keep and which photos to get rid of. And all you do is click a button." And we were like, "Oh, we're sold."
Yeah. Pretty excited by that.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. So we downloaded it and we tried it. And I mean, the fact that it says to you at the end, you saved 5 hours in your culling, you're like,
love that touch. Really.
And it made you think, okay, I've just saved so much time. And going through the photos, we were like, yeah, these are pretty good to go with. And it almost basically halves your work, so then you can cull from there. It gets rid of all the junk basically, and just saves you so much time. So yeah, we've been trying it in various different ways and stuff. And we thought, obviously, as we have this membership, it'd be really, really good to get the word out to everyone by speaking to you guys. So yeah, I popped you guys an email, didn't I, a few weeks ago, and said, can we have a chat? And here we are. So we have the creator, Harshit, of Aftershoot. So he is the brains and coder and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got Christine as well, who is Chief of Growth for Aftershoot, which is very exciting too. It's so nice to chat to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank
you.
you.
Exciting.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of people in this group who I think would be really interested in cutting down the workflow.
I was looking at the group yesterday, and we had like a bunch of questions popping up about Aftershoot. I said, yeah, I mean, this is good content for the live.
Yeah, definitely, because it's so new. Like, it's literally something that no one's ever tried. So it's like, it's hard to get your head around it. And also we know our own programs inside out already. Like, I've been using Photo Mechanic, I know it inside out. And so to go to something entirely different, you're like, well, what does this color mean? And what does this button do? And how do I do this and that? So yeah, I thought we'd have a chat about, basically, I'd love to know how the whole thing came about. And we'll also have a little demo from you guys too. So straight from you guys, show us how it actually works. So basically, I mean, I'm genuinely curious how this idea happened, how it came about.
Okay. So full disclosure, like if you didn't know, I'm not a photographer myself, but I have family members who are photographers. So my uncle, he's a photographer. I have some friends who are photographers, and I've seen them go through like this arduous process of culling their images, right? So coming from a 10,000 image shoot and then going through image one by one and picking the one that they want to deliver and then editing them. It takes, I mean, people say I can do it in 10 hours, but like, let's be honest, that those 10 hours are not at a single stretch. Like, we divide them into like sessions of like 1 or 2 hours each, and then it takes a few days to a week. And if you have like 10 shoots lined up like you guys, it can take more. And the result is, right, so the end client, like they end up receiving their albums way after the wedding is actually happening. And like I'm being very honest with you, right? So here in India, right, some of my friends, they have received their images more than 1 year after their wedding.
Whoa! But you guys have like 1,000 people at a wedding, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, sure. But even if you have 500 people, that means 6 months, 4 months, right? And like there has to be a better way to do this. And that's not just the case with weddings, because with weddings, people are a bit more forgiving. But if you have a corporate shoot or model shoot, like you have like very tight, strict deadlines. You have to like do this in like 2 weeks only.
That's
And
true.
that sort of like, I mean, you cannot like walk your way around it, right? So I mean, so deadlines are always there, and doing this manually, it's not the most efficient way. Because essentially, like when you curl your images, right? Maybe the first time, the second time you're looking at each and every image, but once you do it 5, 6 times, then you get used to the process, right? And essentially, you instantly know, right, that if you're looking at an image, is that a good image or not, or not, right? I mean, usually out of 5,000 images, you're only like analyzing 10% of the images very closely to see if that, hey, is this person's eyelashes in perfect focus or not, right? I mean, all those things. You only do that for 10% of the images, but for the rest, you instinctively know that, hey, okay, this image I want to keep it, this I don't. So you're not actively using your brain, you're like just using your hands and eyes, right? I mean, that's what it is, right? And like
Yeah,
that's what I've like yeah. So this
Yeah.
idea, like that's how I came about this idea, right? So like looking at my family members go through this problem, my uncle going through this problem, my friends going through this problem, right? And then I figured that, hey, there should be a better way to do this, right? I mean, like I recently started working with AI, built a few apps using AI and whatnot. I figured that, hey, like I'm using like AI to like explore a bunch of things. Can this be done using AI? Because there's a specific pattern, right? So anything that has a pattern can be automated. And as a coder, like as a programmer myself, if if it takes me like 4 hours to write a script that can automate a 20-minute job, I'll do that. So that's how my brain works.
Time well spent.
Yeah, time well spent. Yes, exactly. So that's what I did, right? So I did things a bit differently. I didn't jump into coding right away. I started with like interviewing, because again, I wasn't a photographer, right? And I figured that, hey, if I want to like do this, I have to do it the right way and actually like talk to the end user who will be using this app. So I spent 3 months talking to like all kind of photographers all across the world with Zoom calls, right? I had like close to 90 odd Zoom calls, different photographers, like understanding their workflow, how they work, right? What would be a deal breaker for them versus what would be fine for them, right? The pricing and everything else. And by the end of those 3 months, I mean, some people were skeptical. They said like, so I mean, yeah, I don't think that you'll be able to replace my assistant or replace me. It's like, okay, it's not replacing, it's like assisting you. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a helper, right? It's a helper, right? It's not going to automate your entire culling. It's not going to replace photo mechanic. I mean, it can replace photo mechanic for the manual part, but it won't replace culling. That's what it won't do. Right. So yeah, I mean, had like a bunch of different varying opinions, but everyone was very super excited about this. And there hasn't been any like real innovation in this field for the past few years in terms of software. In hardware, yes, you're getting better and better cameras, and with that, like you're able to shoot more and more pictures. But what about the management? What about the sorting, organizing? Right. So I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at photo mechanic, it still looks like a tool from 1990s. So yeah. Not to diss too much on photo mechanic, but yeah, I mean that's the truth, right? It's like, yeah, I mean it's an amazing tool for what it does, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah,
It's true,
there's a long way to go. It could be better. It could be more smart, right? It's like a fast bullet card. That's what it is.
it's like looking in the Finder window on your computer and like
exactly. So yeah. So that's the surprising part, right? So the only way photo mechanics is better than Lightroom is that Lightroom can show you an image in 0.5 seconds. Photo mechanic can do it in 0.2 seconds. So that's what these tools are competing on. And I mean, really, I mean, there has to be a better way to do this, right? Right. So yeah, so I mean, that's how this like the whole idea came into being. Started working on the actual coding part back in December of 2019. Had a super early build ready in around Jan or Feb of last year. Right. Gave it to the early users. Some of them liked it, some of them they didn't. Right. They were horrified as to like what monstrosity I'd made, because I mean, again, it was my first attempt, right? I didn't know how to make desktop apps. I didn't know, like I wasn't not an expert at AI, but I learned those things on the fly and then built something. But
so
one of those guys,
just a couple of months that was.
Yeah, just 3 months.
Oh my god!
So when someone asks me how you built Aftershoot, my answer is blood, sweat, and tears. So, so yeah, but like yeah, like during those early days, I met a nice guy called Sam Hood, and I found it from a Reddit post. And he got interested. He did a small video on his Instagram account. And back then, I didn't even have an Instagram page, so there was no way for me to like uh, capitalize on that post that he created. He was just like redirecting people to me via email. He was connecting me to different people via email. He posted something on Patreon, and then he was like forwarding their messages to me on email that, hey, this guy has this problem, this guy has this problem. And I figured that, hey, I need to like make something, make a Facebook group and all those things. So that's how I started, right? And yeah, I mean, since then, since Jan or Feb of last year till December, right, we did like hundreds of updates to our app and our AI learning and whatnot. It's come a long way. If I mean, I'll be sharing my screen in a moment, anyway. So I'll show you what the old version used to look like and what this new version looks like.
Amazing.
So the difference is night and day, and it's actually something. So that's the whole story of Aftershoot.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, you're right. There's like a massive jump from like the 90s to what you're doing. There was nothing in between, and I mean, yeah, obviously you could make culling more fun and stuff, but this is like done.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, exactly. That's what it is, right? And I think that's what AI should be. I mean, people say that, hey, I mean, what about the Skynet and all those? And I'm like, dude, come on, it's not Skynet. Do you see guns coming out of Aftershoot and like threatening to kill you? No, I mean, come on, it's not that.
Yeah,
no, it's not that. I mean,
Next update.
yeah, not yet.
But yeah, we found this really good, like you say, for just sort of cutting it right down. And while it hasn't been perfect, like we've been manually looking through every single photo afterwards as well to see which ones it's rejected. And sometimes we're like, oh, actually, we would want to keep this one when it's rejected it, and actually it's rejected one, it's kept one that it really isn't a thing. But like you say, it's not 100%. It's not a human being. It doesn't know the nuances of a moment and a wedding, but it definitely helps you. What I've learned is like 95% of wedding photos, the couple will look at one time and then not look at again. Like, and so for those 95% of photos, if I can just aftershoot those, and they got something nice to look at, they'll look at it once and not again. And I'll make sure that those 5% are definitely like ones they'll love.
Right. So some people find it hard to like let go of the control, but have a different perspective at things that, hey, I mean, that's fine. But look at the end result that Aftershoot gave you. Because if you're looking at all the images that Aftershoot, I mean, it's not a test, right? You're not testing yourself against Aftershoot because obviously you'll win. It's not a test, right? And you don't have to look at each and every image. You just take a look at the final selections that are did, and then go in and, okay, if you think that, hey, it's missing out on a moment, or let's say, I mean, I don't like this image in particular, you go through that image and make an alternate selection to that image, because we make all that process very easy throughout the app.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll be showing a demo, right? I mean, and like, yeah, I mean, we make that. So I mean, the idea is that even if at its worst, like, let's say, I mean, at its worst, our AI is just a sham and we just like toss a coin to make a decision. Let's say that's the case. Right? Let's say every time we toss a coin to see that if we keep this image or not. It's 50% accurate. Even then, you are saving like 50% of your time. I mean, I mean that's a very like wrong way to look at things. But I mean, if you look at like if you compare numbers to numbers, that's what it is. But I mean, in its current iteration, it's like 85 to 90% accurate. That's what we've seen, right? From all the comments that we get from our users and like from people who like it, from people who don't like it. So that's where it is right now.
And how do you literally tell the computer to know what's a good photo? I don't understand.
That's the tough part. That's what took us like 10 months to perfect.
Yeah. But
So,
I mean, I guess your brain is just different to mine, but I can't understand how you can say, hey, computer, this is a blinking photo and this is not a blinking photo, so keep this one, not this one.
Indeed. So that's a tough part. I mean, even today, it's not perfect because like, so I mean, in some cases, people will be like, okay, like, but her eyes are open, right? So I can see like this much of the sliver of the eye is visible. So that's not a blank. But for other case, if someone's like this eye, this much, like someone's eyes are like 90% closed, you want to classify them as blinks. So it has to be, so all the comparison that we do has to be relative. So as I mentioned earlier, right? So what let me tell you how it works, right? So essentially what it does is it like groups all your images into duplicate sets. So let's say 6,000 images, it will create duplicate groups or duplicate sets of all those images. So maybe it creates 1,000 sets. Right, so that like first set this has 5 images, second set this has 2 images, third set this has 1 image, fourth set it has like 10 images, so on and so forth, and it created like 1,000 sets for you, right? And then what it does is it like looks at each and every image in that set and ranks it on objective analysis, objective scoring and subjective scoring, right? So objective scoring is your blinks, your blur, your lighting, your emotion, right, and all these things. Whereas the subjective scoring is that, okay, how's the aesthetics, right? I mean, how are the colors, right? What does the composition look like, right? For example, like, are people doing the same thing? For example, if you take a picture of all of us, right, and in that picture, right, if you take a screenshot, all four of us laughing versus only you and me are laughing, and Todd and Christine are like not laughing, they're like frowning. Then that's not a good picture, even though you and I are laughing.
Yeah.
So like that's like, so if I have one picture in which all of us are serious versus second in which like just two of us are laughing, even though in the second picture in which like two of us are laughing, the first picture might be preferred for a professional shoot because hey, everyone has mirrored emotion, right?
Right.
Right. So I mean, all those things they have to like be taken into consideration versus like, okay, like, so if am I looking at the camera? Because okay, let's say, I mean, we have another instance wherein like you have a picture of a bride and groom. In one case they're looking at the camera, right? In other case they are like looking away from the camera. But if both of them are looking away from the camera, that's a good picture.
Right. I get
Versus
that.
if one of them is looking at away from the camera, that's a bad picture. So I mean, we have like hundreds of such like different edge cases
Wow.
that we train the algorithm on.
I do know
Amazing.
that people's main concern is that there are a lot of documentary photographers. So they're thinking, well, I blurred it on purpose, or they're looking away on purpose, or their eyes are shut on purpose, or maybe for me. So my style is like, you know, when people have these outtakes, that's my keepers.
Sure. Yeah.
If one day could Aftershoot be where you could tick, yes, I'm documentary, yes, I am, I want laughter, and it'll choose those more. Whereas if the same set of photos from a different photographer who said, I'm stylish, romantic, and serious, it might choose different photos. Could that be something that could do?
That's the plan, right? That's the plan, right? So right now, our AI is a black box, but we allow for limited customization, right, with the duplicate sets and all those things. But our plan is to like add more customization. So we have an advanced option maybe, and which can say that, hey, I prefer images with laughing, right? I prefer another images in which people are looking at the camera versus I prefer images in which people are looking away from the camera. So all those things. So our aim is to do that, but we have a bunch of other things as well on the plate, right? So again, as I mentioned, like we are like 4 people team, right? So not a huge team of developers, but we can only do like so much, so right. So we are like we have
it's really new.
we have a bunch of things on our like plate that we need to like. So the first priority is to get the AI selections right. Like so, it's at 85%, get it to 90%, get it to 95%. So that's the idea. Right. So getting back to like how it works, it like ranks all your images through the objective and subjective scoring models, and then it tries to like rank every image on a score of 1 to 10, and it picks the best image, this one that's like rated 10 from each and every duplicate set, right? So you'll end up with probably like 1,000 images from a initial number of like 3,000, 4,000 images.
Yeah.
And then you look at like these 1,000 images and go ahead and make the final selections. And like as you mentioned that, hey, I shoot blurred images on purpose, and if you have a set of let's say 5 images, all of which are blurred, it'll still pick the best image from that set. So it'll like not look at the blur aspect, look at the closed eyes, look at the aesthetics, the composition, and all the other things, and make the final decision.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Very
that's
cool.
Good. Yeah. It's fast. It blows my mind how you can do this.
So 5 million images plus, right? So I mean, the initial version that we launched in December was trained on 5 million images. And right now we are at like 30 million images, right?
Wow.
Nice.
Does you say that when you go and you do a second cull yourself manually in Aftershoot, it then trains the software to know what you want? Is that only from your own selections, or is that using all photographers into a central database?
So here's the thing, right? So if you go in and tell Aftershoot that, hey, I mean, you pick this image for me, but I don't want it because it was blurred or it had closed eyes, that improves it for all the users, because blinks and blur is going to be same for every user. But let's say if you go ahead and say that, hey, I mean, I don't like this just because, I mean, maybe I didn't like it. So like emotional or aesthetic thing that like improves that just for you. And that's something that like we push out with every update, because like, so once we push out every update, right? So we retrain our machine learning models based on all the images that people have shared with us. And again, so coming back to that, right? So you have the option to share the images, the low resolution thumbnails of all the images that you cull with us, right? Because that we can like look at the changes that you do in Aftershoot and train it or tweak it according to you, right? So that's an option, right? And if you like enable that option, we go in and update our machine learning models, like not just for the entire user base that we have, but also for you, right?
Cool.
So yeah, that's something that we do. Yes.
We also recently culled the whole wedding in Aftershoot, and we noticed that we wondered if maybe another feature would be that you might be thinking of would be, so you've got like at a wedding you've got prep, you've got the ceremony, you've got dinner. Could we say, okay, I want 5% of photos kept from prep, but 20% of photos kept from ceremony? We found a lot of prep photos were kept in equal to ceremony, and obviously it's not as important. Is that something that could then be added?
Yeah, that's an interesting. I mean, that could definitely be added. I mean, the tough part is that, hey, do we identify what's the prep and what's the ceremony ourselves, or we do let the users, or do we let the users tell that, hey, image number this to this is prep, this to this is ceremony, and this to this is this, right? So and like that's something that would tie in very well with the feature that we have coming. That's called Supercharge, right? Wherein you can tell us that, hey, like I only want 10% of my images to be selected, and we select that number of images for you, right? But that's throughout the shoot, right? And we make some intelligent decisions on our own that, hey, if an image does not have any faces, right, maybe like select fewer of those images and all those things, right? So I mean, we try to like make some of those intelligent decisions on our own, but again, it's not 100% accurate, right? So we have to rely on our users' inputs. So and like so initially, what used to happen was, right, so when you like initially we did not have the import step, when like so right now what you do is you like select a folder, you click the import, that imports all the images and shows you that, hey, these are the images that you have. So it's something that we recently added, and that's something that we added was because some of our users said that, hey, I want to have different strictness for the culling for different parts of the wedding or the shoot. And that's, I mean, that's a segue to like adding that feature in. So hopefully with our like next updates, you'll be able to like select the top 200 images and say that, hey, I want this set to be culled with this threshold, this set with this threshold, and this set with this threshold.
Cool.
So yeah, bunch of things in books.
Yeah, that's exciting. Should we have a look then?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to have a look? Because people will be watching thinking they can't picture it.
Yeah.
So,
I hope my images, like my screen is visible.
I'll hide our video so we can make it full screen. There we go.
Looks good.
Cool.
Awesome. Superb. So like this is what you're greeted with, right? So once you open Aftershoot, like this is the screen that you'll see. If you like don't have any albums, you won't see these albums. But this is what you're greeted with. Like it shows you like all the stats, right? So I mean, I've gotten like 10 days and 14 hours of my life back to the Aftershoot.
Nice.
And that's just with like 55,000 images that I've culled. It kept like 20,000 images for me, so almost like 1/3, right? And like that is like including testing, right? So I tested different thresholds. Like so, I tested sometimes with give me more images versus give me less images, so on and so forth. So like that's essentially what it is. Like so, we have like resources options where you can, like if you're a first-time user, you can look at the videos that we have made. You can read articles that we have put out for Aftershoot and help you like understand the basics and working of the app, right? So. But to get started, just click on the new album button, right? You select a folder. If you shoot on multiple cards, you just like select multiple cards, right? I mean, over here, let's say, I mean, I select this one and then I select one more folder. Let's say, this is what it is, right? And once I've selected all the folders, right, I can either begin importing because these are already on my desktop, or I can import, right? So let's say you are importing, you are like culling from your SD card, right? So you can import and cull, right? That we can tell Aftershoot that, hey, these images are on my SD card. So copy them to a working directory and a backup directory, and then start the import and cull.
Oh wow! So you don't even need to.
Yeah.
So what does that do to the SD card? It doesn't change anything on the SD card.
It doesn't. It'll just copy everything.
Nice.
Yeah. So it moves it to your hard drive for you and to a backup hard drive at the same time for you. And does it move all images or only the chosen ones?
All images. So everything from like from these two folders, everything from these two folders would be copied first to the working directory, and this is where Aftershoot will do all its culling.
Nice.
Right, and then the backup directory. This is optional, right? If you don't want to backup, that's fine. But this is optional, and like this is where it'll backup everything.
Cool. Right. That saves a step. That's good because we've got Mercedes here asking the best workflow. So this is sounding already like a pretty good workflow first step.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what it is, right? And then like I mean, let's say you do that, that's fine. But if you don't, then you hit the import button. It'll like start importing all your images for you, right? And either you can like wait until the import is done and look at all the images that you have, right? So you can either wait. So it's like done in like few seconds already. And once that's done, right, so you have like all these quick filters on the right. So all the categories that Aftershoot divides your images in. And we have a predefined star and color rating for these, but you can change that as well. So when you hit the start culling button, so on the bottom left, you have the option that says change stars and colors. So if you're a first-time user, this is what you'll see first.
Yeah.
Right. But once you have like culled an album, you won't see the screen again. And clicking on this button, you'll see just the screen. Because once you
Mercedes has asked us to go back a step. Do we put it onto the desktop first? Actually, Harshit is saying you don't need to. You can go straight from your SD cards, and it will put it onto your hard drive or desktop, wherever you want to work from. It'll put it there as backup at the same time as culling.
Yep.
That's
so
really
it'll
cool.
copy first and then cull.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's what it do.
It's so clever.
Yeah,
I love it. Do you know what Tom has commented? The time saved is very proportional. It is very pleasing to him, and we said the same.
Yeah.
The fact that it tells you how much time you saved is such a nice.
and then, like how that's calculated. That's calculated based on like how long do you take to like make the final review selections in Aftershoot, right? So let's say you like from a duplicate set, on an average, it had 5 images, and you looked at each image for an average of 20 seconds. That means you take 20 seconds to go through each and every image one by one.
Right.
And it like calculates those like the time is very dynamic. Like it's dependent on like how do you like go ahead and look at images. So that's very personal.
Fantastic. I will quickly also say to people, don't worry about downloading it right now. Download it after the interview, because we've got a code for you guys to get some money off. So just wait until the end of that.
Or if you want, you can purchase it right away and like give us more money. That's fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I haven't said no to it.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you've already purchased it, you want a discount, just like message us on the support, right? And we'll be happy to like add Anna and Todd's discount coupon onto your purchase. That's totally fine.
Oh.
So, yeah. So I mean, yeah. So like, yeah. Once you click this button, you are like greeted with this screen, but you can like change the stars and colors. For some users, they don't want to have any colors added to their images.
What's the difference between stars and color? Because if it's green and 5 stars, surely it doesn't need the 5 stars if it's already got the green.
Exactly. It just looks good.
Yeah, but also where it comes in is everybody has a different workflow.
That's true.
So if I'm already used to using stars, like my favorite images are 5-star images, that's where I would want to choose stars. I don't care about colors.
That's really true, actually, because I work with color on Lightroom. So actually, if it had stars, that would be helpful, because now I can still use color for my own reasoning, like albums or sneak peeks, and the stars will tell me what Aftershoot has chosen.
Exactly. 5 stars are normally my keeper images in Lightroom, and I do the exact thing. Like the green is the getting ready photos.
Ah, yeah.
Nice, yeah. We all do it slightly differently, don't we?
Yeah,
I think everybody does, and that's one of the nice things about this is it's all, you can customize it to the way that you do it. We're not like, no, you must do it our way.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that.
Yeah, so like just in case, like just quick disclosures, if anyone is going ahead and like trying to chat with us in the in-app support, like we are on the call right now, so we won't be able to like reply to your messages, because it's me or Christine who like replies to those chat messages.
Aww.
Right. So I mean, yeah, I'm getting notifications that like we have like 3 new chat messages. So I mean, just in case you don't reply, you know why. So yeah, I mean, you can like go ahead and like make these changes as needed. You can like disable keywords. You also add keywords to your images, so you can disable them as well. And then we have an option.
So how does the keyword column work?
So essentially, it adds a keyword to your XMP metadata, right? So if you look at Lightroom, Lightroom has a keyword section.
Oh.
Right. You can add like custom keywords to your images that, hey, I mean, these images are like from prep or from like the ring ceremony, so on and so forth. It has a keyword section, right?
Oh, in your settings here, is there a keyword section then?
Yeah, I mean, so you can disable these keywords, right? So I mean, by default, Lightroom. So in Lightroom, you can sort your images by stars, by colors, or by keywords.
Brilliant. That's cool.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, some people don't want the keywords to be touched, right? So we have an option for you to disable the keywords as well. Right?
Cool.
So I mean, yeah. So that's there, right? But let's say you don't want to. So the ideal next step is like, click the next button, select your thresholds and preferences, right? So like this is very self-explanatory, right? And if you choose it to strict, if you are someone who shoots a lot of images in soft focus and you want that, it'll get rid of those images, right?
Yeah.
Then you have like grouping duplicates, right? So how strict or lenient do you want Aftershoot to be while it's grouping duplicates? Do you want like Yeah. So let's say if you take like 5 images of me, in those 5 images, I'm like, in one of them I'm looking at the camera, and 3 I'm looking away from the camera. Do you want all these to be grouped together as a single duplicate set? You keep it on somewhat similar. But let's say you want like only the almost identical images to be grouped as a single duplicate set. You keep it to almost identical. So I mean, yeah, it's, I mean, again, like if you like read through it, you like understand what it says. But yeah, I mean, in almost identical, less photos would be grouped together. So essentially, like you'll have like more duplicate sets.
Yeah.
So if in this case you have 1,000 duplicate sets for 5,000 images, in this you'll probably have 1,500 duplicate sets.
Right.
It's trying to like group somewhat like different images differently, and not
with
grouping them
somewhat
together.
similar. Do you think if you chose somewhat similar, it would give you fewer photos?
Yes.
Green at the end. Yeah.
Yes. So that's, yeah. So like this is the duplicate grouping, and that's what brings us to the next part. That is selections in a duplicate set. So for every set that we create, right, what's the selection look like, right? So if you click on more, that will select the top 30 percentile of the images.
Right.
With moderate, it'll select the top 20 percentile, and with less, it'll select the top 10 percentile.
Wow, so you get even fewer photos, so even less work at the end.
Exactly, yes. But I mean, you run the risk of missing out on some images. So someone asked like, what's the best setting? So I would recommend that first run it with the default setting that you have, and once it's done, it's very easy for you to go ahead and recull in Aftershoot. It like the reculling button is just like a single, like it takes 2 minutes only.
Again.
Right. You click on. So I mean, let this cull run. It shouldn't take that long.
He made the comment about you'd miss out on the images, but that's the other thing. Like none of this is just, it's similar in concept to Lightroom. It's not destructive. We're not, the images that are rejected aren't just being thrown out. They're still there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really important, isn't it? That you can still see them, and you can, because then you get that little window on the side that I'm sure we'll see in a minute, where you can then go through and be like, actually, keep this one, and then after she learns, and it says, okay, well, you preferred this one this time. Next time we know that.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? So like right now, like all the culling is happening, and this is happening on my machine. So that's the best part.
You kept it very minimal. So there's only 4 or 5 options, and that gives you everything you need.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Exactly. So that was the idea, right? So I mean, every action that the user can take should be accessible in just like 3 clicks. We call it the 3-click rule. So I mean, if you are to like start the culling, you should be able to start the culling in 3 steps or 3 clicks.
Yeah.
So that was one of our like philosophies, and yeah, I mean that seemed to work, because if you shoot like a Lightroom or like Photo Mechanic, you'll see that like you are bombarded with like 100 different options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, not the best UX, right? For people whom like so Adobe loves to call photographers creatives, but then they bombard them with like these like weird different options. I mean,
yeah.
True.
It's very counterintuitive. But yeah, so this is like what I ran with the default sets, right? So this is the like, so I'll show you a very good example, right? So with this image, so this is one duplicate group, right? So we had like 3 different images. I picked this one. For this one, it had like a bunch more. It picked these 3, right? And I think it picked the right ones, because in the other ones, people were looking away from the camera, or like not looking at the camera. Like someone's eyes were closed, or people were blurry in the background, right? Or like this guy was looking away from the camera for some reason.
Oh, right, I knew that. Wow.
Right. So yeah, like this person, his face wasn't visible right over here.
Yeah.
So it takes into consideration all those things, and it tries like, so again over here, right? So I mean, these 2 people are laughing, but like this is like he's about to speak something. So it takes into consideration all those things. It shows you the key faces as well, right? So I mean, and clicking on them like zooms into those key faces. And look at all the duplicates, right? And if you like want to like look at them bigger, you can click on this button. It'll show you like a bigger view of these duplicates. You can click on them. You can choose a different duplicate if I want to. For example, let's say for some reason I like this image. For some reason, I can click on this and change the color, or I can change the star.
Yeah.
I can do that from here as well, right? So it gives you the ability to like do all those things.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and if we change the color or change the star rating at this point, is that going to help your algorithm in the future?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Nice.
So either or is fine. Either star or color is fine. So again, for this case, right? So I mean, it picked this image, but it didn't pick this one or this one.
Yeah.
And that's the obvious images that it shouldn't pick. Right. So I think in this, the laugh was the perfect laugh. Right. I think that personally, in my opinion, I think I like this laugh better than this laugh. Right. So again, So, and lastly, I mean, this didn't have any duplicate set. So, and this didn't have any objective issues, hence it was still kept. So that is what the default settings, right? So I added 22 images and it gave me like 6 images in return, right?
Still giving you 4 of that group photo.
And let's see what it does when I do this. I want everything to be strict, right? I click on start culling again, and the recull takes doesn't take a while, because we already like do everything. Like we have already stored all the results that we did, so it doesn't take that long. Probably it takes a minute or so, right? Because the initiation, right? The initiation, it's always going to be the same regardless of what you do, and so I think
that's good to know.
It went fast, didn't it?
It's definitely a lot faster the second when you do the recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like some time is always there, right? So initializing our AI engine and all those things, that's always there. So okay, so this is what you get when you like run it at a strict setting.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right? So you only got 3 images now because it grouped everything into a single duplicate. So like for this image, it grouped all the images into a single duplicate.
Right.
And across all these images, like, so this one had bad lighting, this one, like, so this and this. So I purposefully like made a copy of this image and darkened the second version just to show you that, hey, it also looks at the lighting and picks a better lit image. Right.
Yeah.
Just
same thing over here.
The way it groups photos in itself is really helpful, because we tend to take 10 shots of the same thing, and in photo mechanic it's complicated to get your head around that you're looking at 10 shots of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So to see it visualized this way where they're all grouped is really, really helpful.
What if we took a photo of that group of guys, and say Todd also took the same photo over my shoulder of the group of guys, but his camera was set to like an hour later, so it was in a completely different area of our gallery? Would it still group them together as duplicates?
We have decided not to do that. In theory, it should, but we've decided not to do that because we have a binning, right? So it only like so there should be 2 conditions that are met for it to be classified as a duplicate group. A is the similarity, and B is the time binning. So they should be like in some time window of each other for them to be considered as a group image.
Yeah,
makes sense.
So so in this case, it picked like this image, which was arguably the best, and second was this image. Again, like, so you might say that, hey, why did it pick this image? So the reason is that since you kept the duplicate grouping at the very like lenient or the strict, whatever you call it, so it's possible for Aftershoot to like misgroup different images together. For example, it's possible that, hey, like in some case, this guy was replaced with another guy with glasses.
Yeah.
So it's possible for Aftershoot to miss out on that different person, on that difference, and still group that into a same group.
Yeah.
So what it does is it tries to give you distinct images from a group, right? Because this group had like 16 images, and if you take the top 10 percentile, it gives you 2 images, right?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to get 2 images from this set. So we could have like chosen like these 2 images for you, right? But what we try to do is we try to like give you distinct images so that it compensates for those mistakes as well. So let's say we made a mistake wherein we try to like pick, we like misclassified or misgrouped an image with a different person, because this sometimes happens with a like large group. If you have like 10% group, like some person is swapped in the back and it tries to like group them all in a single group. It sometimes make those mistakes that it like groups all of those images together, and that's why we try to like rerun something on a stricter level and try to like give you varied results, right? So that's what it looks like, right? And so going from 22 to 3 is, I'd say, like not bad. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what I feel, right? And once you,
sorry.
Yeah. So
sorry.
Go for it. Go ahead. That's fine. Go ahead.
No, just an idea we had when we were looking through our photos that had been culled by Aftershoot. We were wondering, is it because you know how like a Sony camera can know who the bride is, basically? So like it will pick up the bride and focus on her in the camera. Is there a way of us saying to Aftershoot, this is the bride, or all the guests, and so we don't end up with like loads of photos of one random guest and not many photos of like the bride's mum, for example? Is there a way of making it an even amount of photos of all the people that are at the wedding?
So I'll say this: like, wait for our ultimate plan once it fits.
Oh.
Wait for our ultimate plan. Like, so you have a bunch of things in store for you all, right? With the ultimate plan, and So wait for it. I mean, we are hoping that it like hits towards September, right? So that's our like best estimate. But
Yeah.
for it. I mean,
Or maybe not wait for it because you want this time saving right now, but look forward to it.
yes, look forward to it. Indeed, yes.
I mean,
So,
we're using Aftershoot already anyway, and I will say to everyone who's watching that we are fully paid up. Like, we don't get paid to sell it to people. We don't get a discount. We don't even get our own discount. Right? Like, we're fully paid up fans of Aftershoot.
We just love it.
so that's a way of telling that we should probably give them a discount, right, Christine?
No, noted.
No, I just want, because sometimes you wonder, like, oh, are people just trying to sell it?
Exactly. We are not actively sponsoring you. This is not an advertorial.
No. This is my genuine curiosity with something I found really interesting.
We don't have enough money to sponsor people right now. we had like, in one of the groups, right, we had some person like just like out of enthusiasm. So like the day we went live with our pricing, he posted in the group saying that, hey guys, have you heard of this app? It like they just went live with their pricing. And he just shared his referral link. He said like, okay, like here's my referral link.
That's right, I
you can
saw
purchase
that.
it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think and again with our referral link. So even if you are a referral, if you like refer someone, you don't get paid directly. You get like Aftershoot credits in your account that are good towards your next purchase. Right. And like so bunch of guys they like turned on him and said like, no, like, are you like promoting this app? Like I'm just promoting it out of genuine curiosity. But, like that post ended up like getting taken down from the group admin, and I was like,
it did sound really advertising. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it was true enthusiasm. We actually didn't know who he was.
No.
Exactly.
It's the same with us. This is like our genuine enthusiasm and interest in this amazing software. So
for a lot of us, I think that's how we get into it. You mentioned earlier that I am a photographer, and I found this earlier in the summer because I had photographed an event, and I like culling is the bane of my existence.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is the worst part of the job. It is the thing I dread the most, and I've because it is now my job. I spent a lot of time thinking about why, and it's that decision fatigue that I know is ahead of me.
Yeah,
that I'm going to have to go through, like you said, maybe 8,000 images. That's not unusual when I would photograph weddings with my second photographer.
Yeah.
We'd have 8,000 images at the end of the day, and I had to make 8,000 decisions.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Keep or reject. And where I get really indecisive is photo A or photo B, photo B or photo C. It's like being at the eye doctor. And by the way, I hate that moment at the eye doctor too. So, it's like A, B. And I've been known to ask my husband, which one do you like better? And he's like, it's the same photo. And I'm like, no, it's not. Can't you see the difference?
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you let Aftershoot do it all for you and you show your couple the photos, they don't know that A, B, and C even existed. They only see D and E.
Exactly.
And more importantly, they're probably just like my husband, where they don't even see the nuanced difference that I've become fixated on.
Yeah, that's
so I found Aftershoot, ran my downloaded it, installed it, ran my photos through it, and before I even exported the photos, the last step and moved them into Lightroom, I was on Facebook writing my post about how I felt as excited as I did back in 2007 when I first started and found Lightroom.
Oh wow!
Like it was the first time that I've been so excited about software.
Yeah.
And our cameras have advanced so much that many of us, there are some people who have managed to keep some restraint and they take very limited numbers of photos, but most of us have learned to be really happy with clicking the shutter button.
Yeah, same.
Because our cameras have gotten so much faster and quieter. So if you're using mirrorless, you might do that just to make sure you don't miss the kiss. You're just, holding down the shutter and firing 100 frames.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And so that's so stressful. And the other, I mentioned that I had that day of culling, but I worked for 7 hours before I culled that session. The joke was like, it was a miracle I didn't repaint the house or something, because I worked, but I was doing anything I could And I was on a deadline. It was for a client who needed them for social media. Like they needed them the next day.
Yeah.
And I had to do them that day, but I did everything else I could possibly do.
Yeah.
Before I started. So like when we think about that time saving and impacting the profit margin of our work, that 7 hours factors in as well.
Well, yeah, when you look at like what we're paid to do a wedding or whatever, and then how many hours you put into all the things afterwards, we're paid very minimum wage.
Well, yeah,
Right.
especially, and so this is a way to like elevate your pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have something else. I mean, have something else make those decisions. And I know it can be really hard to let go of that control, but that's why I like that, as Harshi showed, when you can go look at what it's selected and say, oh no, I like the selection more. But it's a lot less decisions. It's no longer 8,000 decisions.
Yeah.
And really for me, the first time I ran it, I was like, I think I swapped out 4 photos maybe. And I was like, this is amazing. Done. I exported it. I pulled it into the Lightroom. I fixed the colors and they were delivered. They were delivered within an hour of me. It was a small session. I had them delivered within an hour of downloading after.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, should we have a look at the next step then? Talking of which.
Sure. One thing that I missed, something that like it's an experimental feature, but that's something that we're adding in, right? So some people wanted even more customization, right? So for example, right now you're like go into the loop and then make the decisions. What if I want to like? So some people like this grid a lot. They think that it's faster for them to like go ahead and like make any selections or make any changes. They say, like, what if I want to like just drag this image over here and replace this image with that image if I wanted? And to do that, we have added a function, right? A feature like wherein if an image has duplicates, right? And if you hit the space button, it brings up this view, right? And they're still experimental, right? So some things in this don't work yet. And I mean, with the next update, it will be much better. And let's say if you scroll down here, right? And let's say I want this image instead of this image. If I drag and drop this image over here, it swaps that image.
Awesome.
And I can like do this with the keyboard shortcut as well. If I like press the S key, it'll like swap this S. It swaps it, right? And if I want, let's say I want to have this, but I also want this image, I can hit the A key. It'll keep that image, right? So SNA, right? So I mean, again, I can drag and drop it over here, and I can do that, or I can like hit the A button. Again, this is still work in progress.
Is it like A for also?
Yeah, A for add.
Add, yeah.
A for also, yes. A for Anna, like yeah.
There you go. That's really cool. What a great feature.
So that's something that we're adding, like bunch of other like features, right? That are like coming in, right? So I mean now like it has added like these 2 images to my selections as well. And like once you're once you're all happy, like just hit the save changes button. It like saves your changes, right? And once it's all done, you can like either like continue to export. So once you hit the export button, it gives you options that hey, you want to export to Lightroom Classic, Lightroom, Capture One, or to a folder.
Oh wow!
Right. So yeah, wherever you want, right? So if you click Lightroom Classic, let me just like I think I clicked it. It should boot up my Lightroom Classic installation.
But if I go to my hard drive where it's copied over, and if I open that folder in Photo Mechanic, it will also color the photo it chose.
Yes.
Yeah. So good.
So this is how you know I'm not a photographer, right? So this prompt. But hey, see, it has like chosen these 3 images for me already, right? And I mean, I can continue to import and I like hit cancel and it like shows the old images and whatnot, right? So I can do the same thing with Lightroom with Capture One, and if I choose export to a folder, I can select the folder which I want, right? So I want to like export to this folder, and then either I can like choose by my folders that hey, I want to have like sneak previews and selected moved into these folders, or I can choose by stars that hey, only move or copy my greens and blue starred images, or only move and copy images equal to 3 stars or greater than 3 stars or less than 3 stars. Right. So yeah, that's like this is something that we added to the next the recent update. So that's something that you get as well, right? So some people said that hey, I want to export the blue and green starred images only. So how do I do that? So this is something right that you have now, right? So yeah, that and essentially like so you can export manually as well, right? So you click on this button that shows you all your culled photos, and you just drag and drop these into Lightroom as you usually would.
And any way you do it, it will still show your colors, your stars, your keywords.
Anyway,
Yes.
regardless. I mean, if you uninstall Aftershoot, your stars and colors will still be there. So they're embedded into an XMP file. If you want to get rid of those, you just delete the XMP file and you're all set.
And so this doesn't use the internet, or it does use the internet to do?
It uses internet for like sharing the images with us. For example, if you like disable this, right? And I mean, if you enable this shares your low resolution thumbnails. It's like 800 into 1200 resolution. Like they're not super, like, so we cannot reuse or repurpose them, and they are not reused or repurposed.
And
it's just for our
data.
It's just for our AI learning, right? That's what it is for. And like again, like so they're like this 800 1200, like that's the resolution of the image. And I'm sure like you cannot, apart from an Instagram post, you cannot do anything else with that. That's what it is, right? So I mean, so we upload those like low resolution thumbnails onto our servers to help with our AI improvements. But if you disable your internet, Aftershoot will still work. It won't upload anything anywhere. And if you disable this and then you disable your internet, it'll still work, right? So that was the idea, right? So it has to be offline first because right. I mean, earlier we had a restriction wherein you have to be connected to the internet for us to validate your installation. But with this next new update that we just like pushed out like last month, it like, so once you're connected to the internet, you don't have to like be connected again for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right. So that like, I mean, once you have validated your installation, that's fine. You can like go and use it without internet for the next 2 weeks. So
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And it also uses a bit of your hard drive space, doesn't it? As like a cache or something.
Yes, and that's something we are like working on. So yesterday we just like, I mean, we did make a breakthrough in our like internal dev. Let me show it to you, right? And I hope it's still there. I don't know, because like yesterday what we did was, right, so I think this is what it is. So earlier it used to like close to 158 megs of storage, and now it's like down to 59 megs. Like, so this is even less, right? So I mean, yesterday, like, so I'm not on the latest build, so we reduced this to like 20 megs, right? So it's like almost like a tenth or like 1/5 of the storage that it used to take. So right now, I mean, that's the bottleneck, like, because I mean, again, like, so all the errors that people get, and like that's something that we learn from, right? So all the errors that people get during culling, we have a dashboard wherein all the errors are reported. So we could keep a track of like.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
This cache, could I then can I choose where it saves, or can I drag it onto an external hard drive later, or when I leave?
You can. Yeah, if you go into the preferences, you go into import export, and like you can change this path to Aftershoot projects.
Oh, good. So it doesn't have to go on my actual computer. That's good.
Yeah, just make sure it's an SSD. Make sure it's an SSD so that it's like still fast. Because I mean, if you move it to a hard disk or a Fusion drive, it like the speed like takes a hit.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And what if I deleted that folder? Would I delete all of the choices then?
That's fine. If you're done with an album, if you're like, let's say, if I'm done with this, go in and just like delete everything. Just don't delete this database.sqlite file because this contains the actual like albums. Or you can like delete this. If I delete this album from here, it's done. The cache file is gone.
Okay. So but now my selection is still going to show in Lightroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, because they're embedded in those XMP files.
Oh, so as soon as you've imported it into Lightroom, you can get rid of all the cache files.
Yeah.
Great, that's good. Mercedes is asking, is in terms of GDPR, is there no keeping of images or copyright issues?
No, we don't keep anything, right? I mean, so again, we do store stuff, right? But again, we don't reuse that, right? Your images won't be reshared. So all these images that you see, these are from the users, like from like internal testers whose images we asked for testing purpose, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we don't look at like your images, we don't use them. The only use that your images offer is to improve our AI algorithms. That's what they're used for, nothing else.
Cool, brilliant. It looks so easy, doesn't it?
I want to go and use it again now.
I know.
I know.
This has inspired me to cull.
Yeah, let's everyone get our culling done today.
It's a rare time when you get inspired to cull.
Yeah. Oh, well,
and we've had users come back and tell us like, oh, I culled 4 weddings today, and then did my normal processing on it. Like one person told us that they did like a 10-hour marathon and delivered 4 weddings in a day. And I know the person, they are heavy on the shutter.
Yeah.
That was I think they said it was like over 20,000 images.
Wow.
23,400.
that they called and delivered in the same day. So in theory, anybody could break through their backlog of photos. And that's the other thing, like looking at this from a business perspective, it costs you every time you're making your client wait for their images. It costs you because then they're like, well, my friend got her photos in 2 weeks and it's been 4 weeks for me. And so their photographer must be better. Like it becomes really illogical, but it can impact your word of mouth referrals. I've known photographers over the years who are like, oh, I end up, I'm 2 months behind on delivery. So now I gave my client 5 extra album spreads.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I mentioned that I hate culling so much. I had actually attempted that session that I didn't want to cull. I have a friend that lives very close to me and she does do editing for others sometimes. I had offered her $50 to cull it for me. I had attempted to bribe her with $50 so she would do it. So like I actually went and paid immediately because I was like, if I was willing to give her $50, why wouldn't I buy this? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It was such a no-brainer at that moment. I'm like, here, please be a part of my life.
Yeah, and it's so cheap especially compared to outsourcing to a human. It's so cheap, really.
It's I mean, so let's first answer the questions. I mean, there's a question that like there's a video of best practices workflow. Yes, there is. Inside the app, there's a resources section, and that has the guides and tutorials. And like, speaking of pricing, right? So the initial idea that we had for pricing was that let's make it like number of image based, right? So I mean, like right now people are like outsourcing everything, right? So like a lot of people, they outsource the culling, right? And all these like editing houses, they charge you 5 cents an image, 8 cents an image. That's what they charge them. And we said like, hey, you know what, like let's charge them 5 cents per 1,000 image. Let's just disrupt this. Let's charge like 5 cents per 1,000 image, but let's keep it image count based. So that we also like make some money and like not have an upfront cost, upfront like a payment option. But like a lot of people didn't like it. We did so one of the good things, I mean, not to like boast myself, but one of the good things about Aftershoot is we are very user focused. So we literally look at each and every user feedback that we get and everything that our users have to say, because essentially we are making the app for the users, right? I mean, that's the best part about like being a non-photographer and making this app, because then you're not making the app like you want it, you make the app like your users want it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So because if I start to make the app the way I want it, and then it'll like just it'll just serve my purpose and maybe a handful of other people. But if I make it the way our users want it, then we actually like serve a broader user group.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I mean, we take each and every feedback very seriously, right? I mean, you can like, if you're a part of a Facebook group, you'll see that already. So we ran a poll asking people that, hey, like, are you okay with an image count based pricing? And they upfront said no. And we like went back and redid our whole business model. So we spent close like 3 weeks brainstorming on it, on the image count based model, how we'll implement it and all those things. But when our users said no, that, hey, I mean, doesn't sound good. All the like 10-20% said yes, this is fine, but rest 80% said no, and they're like, okay, screw it, that's fine. We'll go back to the drawing board and come back to you with a new pricing plan. And that worked. I mean, the flat out pricing fee worked.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, because people don't want to have to calculate how much it might cost every single time. Whereas if it's a flat fee, you can just put in as many shoots as you want and just go crazy. Because I don't know about your servers taking up more space, but I mean, it's just.
And everybody always says, well, I'm in the, I don't want to try it on a wedding. I'm like, go take a wedding that you've already culled and delivered and just use it as your experiment. Like, you don't have to use it on something that's like live in production. Try it. You have other weddings to try it on, and then, you can compare it to what you chose and get a better feel for it too.
I wouldn't remember what I chose. Well, especially this year, we're doing so many.
I mean, it's kind of a serious point that we just end up whizzing through it, don't we? And we don't really pay that much attention to it a lot of the time.
You don't, and so why not make life easier on yourself at that point?
Right. Like, circling back to my first point, even if we are doing a coin toss and we are like randomly selecting our images, which we are not, even then, I mean, it's supposed to be like, so it's like Sam made a very good point. He said like it's like a driverless car. It takes you, even if it takes you the same time to get from point A to point B, think of the mental stress that it took out. So while it's culling, you can do something else. You can let it go and have some sleep post the shoot. You don't need to, like, it says in the app, like, get some coffee. So get some coffee, right? Get some coffee, like. Yeah.
A question that comes up quite a lot within my membership is actually, should I take time off? Can I really take time to myself? I feel like I need to be doing all these things. And we always say it's so important to look after yourself. It's so important to have that time off. And this gives you that.
Right.
This literally says go off and do something, which I'm all on board with.
So there's this saying, right? I mean, when you're like building a startup, right? So I mean, so when you're hiring people, right? So hire someone that can do 80% of what you do, and then let them do it.
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to hire someone who does 100% of what you do. Right. So think of Aftershoot as that, right? So Aftershoot is that assistant that you wanted, who doesn't cost as much.
Yeah.
And it does 80% of what you do. And just let them do it, right? I mean, trust them, trust the process. Again, like I agree to it. Like, it's not 100% accurate. I'll be lying if anyone said that, hey, our AI is 100% accurate, they're lying. As simple as that. Right. I mean, if the AI is 100% accurate, then that day wherein like then AI is taking your pictures for you is not far away, and we all should be afraid. I'll be very honest, because if you're able to like identify the difference between the moment, I mean, that's a very huge thing. And that's something that, I mean, that's like artificial general intelligence. So I mean, if you're able to do that, then I mean, all the like crazy weird dreams from like Skynet and what all, like, so they're going to be like a reality, right? So that's not possible. That's like, at least like multiple like years away. I won't say decades because I don't want to be proven wrong, but I mean, it's multiple years away. I mean, it's very far away. But hey, it's not there yet. It's not accurate. It's never going to be accurate, but
it does a chunk of the work for you, basically.
Exactly. It does the groundwork. It does the grunt work for you.
Yeah. It just saves you so much, like you say, mental stress, and that's really important. Yeah, that's a really big.
It's less than $9 a month, right? It's like I mean, less than a Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The best thing I found with it actually was that I enjoyed the editing more because it was the first time that I'd seen these photos, rather than being the second time that you go through the whole set. So the whole process was more enjoyable.
Yeah, that was a big one for you, actually.
Yeah, huge.
He was actually genuinely quite excited every time to do the editing.
Yeah, on site for the first time in a long time.
And there's also AI for editing. Are you guys thinking about maybe taking that step on?
No comments.
It's been such a joy to talk to you today.
Yes, we're gonna focus on our strengths first, right? I mean, culling, we still have a bunch of things, right? We have an iPad app that's in works.
Cool.
I used to be a journalist, by the way.
Right. I mean, on a serious note, right? I mean, we don't want to be Adobe 2.0. Like, we do 10 different things, but all of them we don't do them for, like, not to like diss at Adobe, right? They're an amazing company. But if you look at Lightroom, like importing 6,000 raw images, it takes what, like 40 minutes.
It takes hours on my computer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be like Adobe or Photo Mechanic 2.0, right? That's what we don't want to be.
Yeah.
So, right now, like, so first solve the biggest pain point that there is.
Yes.
People still like Lightroom for editing. They don't have any issues with that, right? They're fine with it.
Yeah.
But culling was something that Lightroom wasn't good at, and Photo Mechanic was your grandpa's culling app, right, as we call it.
Yeah. That's the thing. People like to have that control over how each image looks. I think
you still have that control. Yeah, you still have that control with Aftershoot. You can. So I mean, that's one thing that I missed, right? So I mean, there's a button at the top that says I want to cull manually, right? So when you click on the Start Culling button, there's a button that says I want to do manual culling. Sure, go ahead, do that. You can still go in, make all the changes one by one, and then save the changes and export. That's fine. You can still do that.
Okay.
So it's a faster version of Photo Mechanic, as we see. Because essentially it's not a groundbreaking technology. Adobe couldn't do it because they were busy with 10 different things. It's as simple as that. It's just that.
They were busy developing Adobe Spark, whatever that thing is.
Yeah. Adobe like Analytics, Adobe Marketing Cloud, and whatnot. I mean, they're like 10 different things. I mean,
yeah. Now you're nailing this. I love that you're always updating. You're always working on making it better and better and better, and working with photographers to see what we actually want it to do and things like that. And I mean, if it's starting at this level, I can't imagine. Like, you put the whole thing together in like a couple of months for a start. So
yeah.
Imagine next summer, like we'll be able to properly sit back and just get our set of 500 photos and just be done, won't we? Like,
that's the plan. Don't tell your clients that though.
No.
Yeah, that's the pain with getting photographers to market this. That hey, I have like my clients who follow me, and if I post about Aftershoot, then they'll like start demanding the images next day. How do I like do that? That's a challenge. But, yeah.
That's when you downplay it to your clients. If I think about it, for me, culling is the most intensive part of my post-production process.
Yeah.
Especially when I factor in the time that I spend avoiding it.
Yes.
I am a very light editor. I don't do a lot of, I'm like color correct. Let's make sure this is straight. Yeah. Maybe adjust a crop here and there. It's very light. And so that's pretty fast once I get past culling the images.
Yeah.
But if I was talking to a client, oh, yes, I look through every image one by one and make them perfect. And I select certain ones I do full retouching. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like a totally different conversation if I was talking to a client.
Love it. Yeah, like Todd said, it is more enjoyable to go through and edit them afterwards because they're all fresh. They're all good as well.
Yeah, you're not like judging yourself for the like, why did I even take that picture? Because that picture's already just gone. Like, go away, bad picture.
Yeah, I don't want to see those. I don't need to see those. Yeah,
I probably just bumped the shutter on that one. I didn't mean to take that one.
Yeah.
But I think that's where a lot of people get really hard on themselves. Like, oh, I looked through my photos and they were horrible.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you were looking through the ones that ultimately should be called out.
Exactly. So if we never have to see those, great. Oh dear. Did anyone watching have any questions for these guys?
I just checked, we had like 5 people watching.
I know. It's going to be available on replay. I think a lot of people have day jobs, and it's 2 p.m., 3 p.m. now. So
5 is still good. Like, so I started when I would be excited when I had like one person using Aftershoot. Right, I was like super excited. Hey, like at least one person using Aftershoot right now. So
when the first person joined my membership, I was like, there's one person in there.
It's crazy. I mean, it's super exciting, right? And I mean, I was telling you about like before we went on the live chat that like back in March, we had like 700,000 to like 1 million images processed in a month. And today, right, just today we had like 650,000 images, and we still have like 5 hours to go, right?
Wow.
So I mean, the usage has increased. So that's a good thing to see that people are not just using it; they're like using it and sticking around because see the inherent value in the app.
Yeah, so. And also they're now sending their data to you so that we can learn from you can learn from it. And every day you get those extra million photos go through, it's improving it for us, which is great.
Yeah, so that's the idea. Like, so that's the idea. So learn from your changes and like make it a custom and tuned to you, because essentially that's what you do with the what you do with the when you outsource, right? You get someone who's assigned to you, and then you teach them that hey, this is how I cull my images. This is how I edit my images, and they learn from you.
Yeah,
so the framework is already in place. You just have to replace people with machine learning models. That's not very mean, but
I think it's absolutely brilliant. Like, you are such a genius for being able to do this, and I'm quite envious that I don't have that amazing skill that you've got. And it's just
we have a team working so while we're chatting, like we have a team who's like coding while we do. So kudos to the team, right? So the initial version that I made was super crappy. Wasn't like, I mean, it did work, but it wasn't up to the mark. It was maybe like 70% accurate, but getting from 70 to 85, 90, like we had like some good people joining us when we didn't have money, when we didn't have a lot of like traction. So kudos to them.
Yeah,
so,
that's brilliant.
Matter of fact, now whenever someone's like, I tried Aftershoot, it was really bad, I'm like, wait, when did you try it?
Yeah.
when did you try it?
Yeah, exactly. In the last week, if not, give it.
It's always like, oh, it was 4 months ago, and I'm like, no, come back.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like we push an update once every month. So if we push an update once every month, that's late for us. We try to do it every 3 weeks or so, because we have like so many things that are like already being developed and being worked on. Because again, that's the benefit of having a small team. Right? We don't have to go through the processes and getting things approved. That's fine. Just do it. We have a beta tester group. I mean, the best part is we have photographers in our team, right? So we have like 3 photographers in our team, and they essentially like test everything for us, and then they give us a green signal. And like the team is like across the globe. So Christine, Justin, and like Christine and Justin, right? I mean, they are in EST and MST. Christine, you're in like
Central.
CST, right? Yeah.
Central.
Yeah, like Eastern time and Central time, and the dev folks are in India. So when the dev folks are done with their work, they go to sleep, and Justin and Christine, they go and test whatever they did, right? So we're working around the clock. So that
They
works.
really are.
That's very cool.
That is cool. I love that. It's so quick. Like you're really on it with all this. It's just fantastic. I'm so excited to see what's coming next from you. Like what updates are coming. Because
definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited today to now run our weddings through. We shot 8 weddings in the last couple of weeks, and we need to get through them.
They're waiting for. Actually, before we. So I'm sure, like Mercedes mentioned, she's ready to sign up. We need to give her the code.
Oh yes, of course. I forgot. Yes. So the website is aftershoot.com or .co, is it?
.com.
.com. And our code is kickass15. And I think that's for your first purchase. If you buy the year, you get 15% off the year.
Right.
Which is well worth doing. I reckon.
And if you signed up monthly, you would get 15% off the first month. So definitely go for the year if you want 15% off the full year.
Also,
plus, it's less for a year anyways. So.
It is.
Yeah,
we
have a 14-day free trial, right? And if you don't like it for some reason, we have a refund policy as well. So like, just get in touch with us on support, and happy to like assist you and see what could be done better. And so like we are very customer friendly. I mean, that's not a cliche term. We actually are.
you guys are on like in your group, in my group. You guys respond immediately to everything. It's
really, really cool.
It's so refreshing because sometimes when you're on a deadline, you're like, I need an answer now. You're there. You're always there.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So
it's brilliant because both of you are in different time zones. There's one of you awake at one time. So.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, our like sleeping schedule is all messed up, but it's all for the greater good. That's fine.
Life of a coder, right? Life of a coder.
Who knows? Maybe we have an AI for answering questions. You never know.
Oh yeah.
Not yet.
Well, they do. You get chatbots, don't you? But you can always tell it's a real person.
They don't work. Chatbots never work.
No,
they never work.
Not quite hitting the mark. No, I'll put a link to it all in the description, in the comments, and everything as well for people. But obviously everyone can still ask questions afterwards because you guys are in the group. But that was fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming along.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
No worries. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care. Bye.